Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I wanted to attempt the vampire Selene from the Underworld movies. Probably one of my favorite supernatural series, if for nothing else than the insane amount of work that goes into the Lycans and the practical effects. I'll show you how I made the fangs and then bloodied up my makeup, and if you want to see how, just keep watching. So to get started, I wanted to make the vampire fangs, and I used friendly plastic pellets to do so. Just heat them up in hot water until they go clear, and then you can start molding and shaping the plastic before it cools down. By pressing the warm plastic around your teeth, you can make it mold to your specific tooth shape so that when it dries, it will grip on its own. And then you can start carving out the fangs by indenting and shaping the plastic as it cools. Nice thing about this is that you can constantly reheat it and reshape, so if you mess up or it gets a little bit off, you can just put it back in hot water, let it go clear, and kind of try again. When I was getting the rough shape I was after, I then started only reheating the bottom parts of the fangs so I could focus on the points and elongation of the teeth. I used my metal spatula to help me out a bit, and then when I got to a point where I was happy, I needed to sand down the strong edges that were too long and sharp. I started with just regular 120 grit sandpaper, and then I also used my Dremel since I had it handy and it's a little bit easier to work with. But if you don't have one, you can totally just use sandpaper. When you have the desired result from sanding, be sure to give your fangs a good rinse in alcohol and water, and then you can just pop them onto your teeth and they will stay on their own. But of course we need a matching set, so I also made the right-sided fangs and got them as close as I personally could to the left ones. Then onto the makeup. For mine, I used my Tarte BB Tinted Primer. I usually can't handle full coverage foundation on my face, but of course use whichever foundation you prefer. For mine, I just used clean fingers and rubbed it in and then set it with powder. And then while I will never have Kate Beckinsale's flawless complexion, I did take a bit of concealer and just go over any spots or dark areas I had and blended them out with a brush. Something I can't forget is Selene's awesome hair, and because I do not own a wig that would suffice for this, I decided to use my own along with some temporary hairspray. I took inspiration from her Blood Wars hair and started with the white hairspray at the end and followed by black going over the roots and downwards. And then I also added some silver at the end to get a bit more of that gray tone. But overall, got a pretty decent result for what Selene's hair looks like, using what I had at least. Moving back to the makeup, now that I had my darker hair, I needed to add the brows to match. I started with a brow defining pencil in a taupe color so I could get the shape defined. Selene has pretty thin, shapely brows, so I tried to mimic that, and then I just took a black shadow and lightly applied that over top. For the face, I went in with Becca's Shimmering Skin Perfector in Moonstone. She doesn't exactly have super highlighted skin, but it is luminous, so I thought this was a good balance to apply to the high points of my face. And then I also wanted to add a little bit of blush, since Selene's makeup actually is quite warm. It's just the lighting of the film that usually makes it appear lighter and cool toned. And then for the eyes, I started with just applying a neutral skin tone all over to even out any discoloration. And then I used a matte white eyeshadow to highlight the inner corners and brow bone. Any definition on the eyes had to be light since the film's makeup is really soft and lets Beckinsale's natural beauty be the highlight, so I wanted to find a good in-between. To give that soft definition in the crease, I just took a taupe color on a tapered blending brush and just applied this into my natural crease and blended it out. And then I also used a liner brush with a bit of a darker brown eyeshadow and just ran this along my lash line to darken my lashes a little bit without actually adding liner. With so little eyeshadow, I did need to add a healthy amount of mascara to help my eyes stand out, just using a comb style wand to prevent clumping and create a more natural look. And then of course I needed the iconic blue vampire eyes, so I threw those in before moving on to lips. Depending on scene or lighting, Selene's lip color tends to either be neutral or a soft pink color. So I went for a soft berry lip since cool colors tend to look better on my skin tone. And a great tip for pale people and mauve or light lip colors, use a regular lipstick that has the right undertones and then add a white on top to knock it back. And you could totally stop here and have this be your Selene Underworld makeup. I also threw in my fangs, which I made because they are unique to the Underworld films, but in my own stupidity, I messed up the angle of the lateral incisors as they should face inwards instead of out. So, epic fail. But we can't dwell on our failures, so moving on. If you want to create some super easy flesh wounds that you may attain from badass fight sequences, a good way to do it is to mix some red, blue, and brown cream colors, mix together for a darker red tone, and use a brush or stippling sponge to create wounds along the face. For easy scrapes, I tend to just pull the stippling sponge along the skin with some color on it. And then any areas that I want the wounds to look deeper recessed or more severe, I tend to add a little bit of black to the center of those wounds, especially if I'm going to throw blood on top later. None of these injuries are exactly specific looks, but they are inspired by different wounds that Selene obtains through fight sequences throughout any of the movies. And then just taking a little bit of Fleet Street's Fresh Drying Blood, I just threw this into the little cut on the lip and above my brow bone, and that was it. I could not resist doing a look from one of my favorite series. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please let me know what you thought of it down below. Subscribe if you would like to see more, and of course, until next video, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye guys!